Test.
Yes.
You froze for a while.
Good evening, everyone.
I will
Good
try
evening, good
another connection.
afternoon,
Just a
and good
second.
morning. In case you are joining us from UAE and around, a very good evening to you. I know you must be rushing back to the home possibly, or already at home by all the means if you're successfully with the traffic. But yeah, welcome to the PMI UAE chapter webinar series with us. And I really welcome you back and with a good gratitude. Thank you so much for being with us on time. We are yet another back with the interesting topic around PMO today. And apparently, we will just give a couple of more minutes to all our friends to come together and join us. We have got, interestingly, 300 plus registration. So we are looking forward to have at least more than 100 at least over here. Apparently, we will get them out. But yeah, I'm seeing the messages are starting flowing away. Wow, lovely. That's great. Good evening, everybody. If you're joining from anywhere else, please message about your greetings and from where you're joining. We all welcome you. Love to see you back all over as usual there. My name is Anchal. If somebody is joining the very first time, most probably I'm working here with the PMI UAE chapter in the event team, and I'm the host and moderator tonight for all of you. So I welcome you all, and I have Amir Ali and Joyce with me, with my team supporting me from the back end. And today is our topic, apparently, which we all know is around PMO 360. And more importantly, this PMO 360 is coming from somebody, Dr. Mona, who is a very familiar face with the PMI people always. And she has been around in the different events with us through her organization, participating with us all over there. So might be somebody already know her, but we welcome her as well. Today's topic, Dr. Mona is going to take us through, is around PMO 360, which really is interesting topic, I would say, because we are looking to have some kind of future ready PMOs powered by the automation and analytics. That's what the idea of the topic. And this session is going to be about creatively solving the problems. Okay, how to do that through design thinking experience by really integrating the collaborative leadership practices, which would be inspired obviously by the agile methodologies and to drive innovation and responsiveness in all the project management office space. So I think by combining human-centered designing with adaptive team structures, we are going to empower these PMOs to tackle all the complexity and vulnerability and ambiguity with whole lot confidence together. So this session is going to accentuate the role of a data-driven project management techniques. Of course, we use a lot of data as a project managers, how to drive the analytics part, insights part to make it informed decisions that can really help us as a catalyst to improve our project management outcomes and align with the strategy in the overall perspective. So before we are going to take a deep dive with this particular interesting aspect about PMOs, we have some particular ground rules as usual. So I would be explaining some housekeeping notes, what to expect from this webinar, which will last about an hour roughly. And we would follow the set agenda. We are going to go through brief introduction of PMI UA chapter first, which of course I will be presenting you a couple of slides to give you an idea about who we are, why we are, and how we do the things. And we have a short time in the Q&A at the last of the session where I and Dr. Mona will be doing our best to accommodate all the questions from all of you. Obviously, I've been seeing a lot of engagement right from the beginning, so I expect a lot of questions also will come throughout. This webinar is going to give you and fetch you 2 PDUs. Of course, those PDUs will come to you automatically in your account if you registered this webinar using the same email address that you have done in your PMI particular PMI website as well when you do the certification there. So your email ID is your primary key there. Okay, make sure you don't change the email ID in the PMI website and while registering the webinars. We encourage you to post your particular thoughts, expression of feelings, whatever you feel during this 1 hour, and interact with us in the chat section. Of course, you can post the questions in Q&A section, which we have dedicatedly created only for asking the questions. And that takes me to the interesting point of to show you why we exist. So welcome, and again, let me share my screen to take you out with the PMI UA chapter introduction, and then we will jump on to the particular topic. Let me make it a big screen for you. Perfect. So I think everybody knows, if you don't know, PMI is basically a global institute now, originated from US, 1969, by the group of project managers. And now, even after 15 years, 50 years later now, we all are looking PMI as our source of inspiration for all the kind of gold certification in the practice of project management, program management, and giving the accreditations to the whole community, and also it helping us to leadership journeys and knowledge content perspective to all of us. With that, the chapter is by far is one of the leading chapter in the UAE, in the MENA region. So we have the vision of empowering and influence individuals with the innovative project economy principles to turn their ideas into a reality frame. Now, how to achieve this? We have a mission statement which says that we to disrupt and create value and opportunities to our chapter members and partners to become agile again, which is interestingly is a part of our topic, by the way, in a way, innovative, productive in this platform for the growth of project economy there. So we are aligning with the mission statement, and that's how the webinar is also getting towards that. Ultimately, we are 100% volunteer people working outside of our office times to contribute to the chapter. 4,000 plus active members we have, and we are among the top 5 chapters, which is one of the proud moment to say in the EMO region. More importantly, we are leading the trends, industry topics, and also aspiring communities of all the project managers and PMI certified holders to believe that what are the capabilities and offerings we are bringing, it is going to add a value to you as a profession. We are dependent on you to please make this chapter activities as interactive as possible, and also help us if you want to become volunteers. If the positions, feel free to apply for them. We have a board led by Mr. Adil Sultan, and also board of directors, as you can see, who is lending their own hands to help Adil to really guide and sail this boat through this particular navigation. Now, the chapter member benefits, we have certain benefits. If you associate with the chapter specifically, we have networking, learning and knowledge sharing, career growth opportunities, and the events. So this diversified webinar we are doing as a part of events pillar, which is continuing from the 2025 benefits so far now. We have initiatives like member corners, spotlight, also available to the members of the chapter who would like to contribute and share their story or their thought process in terms of any kind of thing which can get published into the newsletter which comes from the PMI. You can write to them, newsletter at pmiuae.org, if you want to contribute towards that. So with that, I think more importantly, our situation is that you can find more if you want to find more. A lot of things goes away here. We have a YouTube channel in which all these webinars get stored and can be relooked back if you are able to not able to catch up certain section. We have the WhatsApp groups of different type of communities together, and of course we are into the PMI UA chapter on the LinkedIn as well. Different email addresses you can see over there for the particular topics. Please feel free to reach out in case you have a membership or any kind of a general inquiry to the respective email address there. So with that, without further ado, let me introduce our guest today. Sure, and of course, not unfamiliar face. Dr. Mona is a co-founder and managing director of WeGrow Minds, and she holds a PhD in HR analytics, project management, and information system. With over 20 years of hands-on experience, she has been successfully leading and consulting million-dollar initiatives for government entities and major organizations across the region. Some of them are from Saudi and some of them from UAE and in the EMA region as well. In parallel to her consulting work, she has been teaching for more than 15 years as a part-time professor at the LAU and AUB, nurturing the future leaders. And apparently, she is also PMI Premier ATP instructor and PwC Academy certified trainer, and also doing a lot of trainings around project management as well. So Dr. Mona has served as a board member for both PMI Lebanon and PMI UAE chapters, and she is currently on board with the Lebanese Association of Information Systems there. Of course, there are so many things to be talked about, Dr. Mona, but without any further ado, and taking her time of the share, I would like to give it a stage back to her to lead us through this PMO journey with her knowledge. Over to you, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you. Just I want to tell you thank you so much for making it here today. We have almost 130 people joining us from across the world. I myself, I just landed in Beirut and I didn't imagine I'm going to make it to the webinar. That's agility, right? And that's how everything is running and we have to catch up and adapt. Let me start by sharing my screen. So can you see my screen,
Yes, yes,
Anchal? All is
yes,
good?
we can see, make it full screen.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
perfect,
If you would
perfect.
like to connect with me on LinkedIn, this is the QR code. I'm very sure many of you have, attended me in previous webinar. Actually, this is my fifth webinar with the PMI UAE, even as the guest keynote speaker in one of their annual gathering and a moderator for many panels, in other events and sponsoring events related to PMI UAE. Why? Because really PMI UAE chapter is very dear to my heart. I was a board member of PMI Lebanon chapter for more than 5 years, and I as well was part of the chapter of UAE somehow for, let's say, 3 months. Without any more introductions, so today's topic is very close to my heart. It's very, practical rather than theoretical. I've lived the topics, or the concepts that I'm going to share with you. So whether it's related to the establishment of PMO, for the last, and among the 20 years, I have been head of IT PMO. At France Bank and Middle East Airlines, I have created successful stories, and I have so many lessons learned to share with you. So from strategic PMO to agile mindset to creativity, how to solve the problems, what are the reasons behind the PMO failures. We're going to see all that in our presentation. So imagine, a modern PMO, because we all know, and we're going to dig deeper and dive into the reasons behind the failures, of PMOs. But if you just can look at PMOs solving the problems even before they've been created by projects, because whenever there are projects, we cannot deny it. There are conflicts, there are, challenges that you face as a project manager, as head of PMO, and even the stakeholders, are taking a big chunk, of those challenges. So nowadays, there is nothing called constant. There is nothing, that works the same way it used to work before. Even the PMOs that I established before, if I want to establish them now, I need more tools, more knowledge, more strategic thinking, integration with AI, integrating, design thinking and how to solve the problems and challenges we're facing. So, the challenges are, cannot be evitable. Or what you need to do is to learn how to face those challenges and how to respond, rather than being what we're seeing on the screen, someone who's really frustrated from the so many challenges that PMOs face, from the resistance to the misalignment, to the no visibility, silos, management, and many other reasons. We're going to dive into this together. So let us dig deeper into the root causes of PMO. And before doing that, let me see your opinion. So I'm going to activate that poll and I'm going to present it. And you can scan it using that specific QR code, or join by going to paulev.com/WeGrowMindsAcademy 939. So scan the QR code, share with me your thoughts. So it's going to be a bit interactive only at the beginning, and then I'm going to fly alone, and I'm going to leave the questions till the end. What do you think are the reasons behind PMO failure? And those who are not being able to scan the QR code, please feel free to write them down in the chat of the Zoom. So what are the reasons behind PMO failures? Write anything that comes to your mind. I'm going to give the first star to our first participant: lack of dedication and leadership. Beautiful. If you don't have dedication from the project manager, from the PMO, from the team members who are working on the PMO, from the top management, either the CIO, to me it was the CIO, to whom I'm reporting to. So all of those, if I didn't have the dedication needed, a good leadership who supported me throughout the journey, I wouldn't have made it, and none of the PMOs would make it. Priorities are not agreed upon. Amazing. I remember one of the events of Stuart Easton, that I sponsored, and many of you were there as well. He talks about prioritization of project management. Imagine the organizations cannot undergo all these projects, and as you know, because of the lack of resources, lack of budget, lack of many risks happening. So it's about the totality of all the risks of all the projects together. That's why organizations cannot undergo all these projects. Lack of agility. Beautiful. Tonight, we're going to dig deeper into the agile mindset and how PMOs can have this agility to adapt and adjust as the changes shower them as they go. Not aligning with the strategy, you're answering all the questions of this webinar. I'm talking to the right people. Poor alignment with business strategy, again, strategy, poor change management, because when you're creating a PMO or when you're changing the PMO from one level to another level, it means you're creating a change within the organization. How can I manage that change? And if I don't have a process for managing those changes and getting the readiness of the people to accept the PMO, the level of authority of the PMO, it will fail. Lack of leadership. We're going to talk as well about the leadership, and this is one of our topics. So you're right on spot. You're spot on. Poor stakeholder management, company organization. I'm going to keep you showering us with that, and I'm going to go to the presentation. And many of what you mentioned, are already there. Duplication of efforts, excuse the misspelling. Projects often overlap, So if we don't have like a cross-functional collaboration where everybody knows the existence of a PMO, trust me, I give lots of training. I just came from a training, and when I asked them about the PMO, only few know that, oh yeah, we have an ePMO. So it is really very important to really have, all these departments, all the stakeholders aware even of the existence of the PMO, so that they don't have silos, duplication of efforts, and so on. Priorities, you talked about priorities. What about the rigid governance? If you have processes, yes, you should have processes. I created so many processes, automated them, and so on. But, these processes, if they are rigid and there are too many checkpoints, it means you're going to fail somewhere. The decisions are not going to be made quickly, and we cannot adapt swiftly, and it's going to be delayed, and we're going to lose so many opportunities as well. If we have a PMO without business intelligence reporting, no transparency at all as well, it's a reason of failure. You said that. You said lack of strategic oversight, right? So PMOs, if you don't have all these projects as a PMO, trying to align them, with the strategic objectives of the organization, you're not playing a strategic role. You're playing an administrative role, and this is what we're trying to shy away from. Ineffective PMO leadership as well. You said about the leadership. All of your answers are correct. I'm so happy that specifically PMI UAE chapter have amazing community. The amount of webinars and events and the topics that they are sharing have upskilled many of you. And I bet like many of you have amazing years of experience and you are sharing as well. You are still showering us, local authority did not meet the stakeholders' expectations. Beautiful, beautiful answers. Chapeau bas. Ineffective PMO leadership, because now we're going to learn why leadership is amazing and is important. وبشكل أساسي يعني basically it is something that will drive with the vision of the leader. The PMO as a leader, visionary and strategic leader is your way to a successful PMO. Inexperienced PMOs, here you go. So if you don't have like the PMOs with experience, they did this, they did that, they have undergone like experience in establishing or assisting or managing complex projects, it's really hard to do that. That's why what a PMO can do maybe ask an expert opinion, right? It's 90% of the tools and techniques of any ITTO within the processes of project management. So poor stakeholder engagement, here you said it as well. Not addressing the needs and expectations of the stakeholders, incorrect placement within the organization. Maybe you established a PMO and you have, for example, decided on having a directive PMO while your team is not ready, your management is not ready. They cannot support you all of a sudden. So many changes are happening, low maturity level in project management. So you have chosen the wrong level of authority, which will affect, the success of a PMO. Passive aggressive stakeholders, those stakeholders who actually are not supporting you. And stakeholders, I mean by stakeholders, even the project managers. One time I heard one person telling me, are we getting paid for that if we do like update our projects on the enterprise project management platform? I told them, it's not about money all the time. It's about upskilling yourself. It's about fitting within the organization. It's about transparency. It's about managing or tracking your project and so on. So sometimes, yes, you need to have something, what's in it for them, and you really need to convince them about the value that you're creating for all the project managers. What is the common denominator when we're talking about all these challenges? It's about managing complex tasks, complex processes within the PMO, and maintaining at the same time strategic focus. How to stop that? So what did we try before? Many PMOs have tried so many things. Did they work? Let's see. So the traditional ways don't work anymore. And it's like, it's butterfly effect. Like it's gonna, continue on happening until you find the right recipe. Like, the Smurfs. Have you watched the Smurfs? When, Papa Smurf, he has to create all these things to have the right magic recipe. It might not work from the first time, but at least you learned what doesn't work. So we have to learn how to adapt to failure in our work. We learn throughout the process and we discover, oh, that's one way that didn't work. So let's try other ways. And so many ways don't work for, the same organizations. Different organizations require different way of working, different challenges, different way of solving those challenges. So why traditional approaches struggle? Because of the complexity and ambiguity, of all the work that we're doing. So projects that we're working on, we are operating in an environment, as we mentioned, you put it on your poll as well, prioritization. So these prioritization, they don't stay the same. They change quickly. And that's why you really need to adjust and fix and so on. Okay. I want to introduce you to my son. I just met him because, he's going to attend the wedding. And he's a PwC senior auditor. Okay, you look amazing. So his friend, we grown up, my son is 26 and he's attending the marriage, of his friend. That's a fun fact. So PMOs, what they need to do, they must navigate changing requirements all the time. We cannot say, oh, I can succeed if I establish a PMO in that specific setting, in that specific organizations. We cannot do that. Different organizations have different mindset, different culture, different acceptance, different readiness that we cannot really count, on what we learned as well. So if we do the same thing, I established 2 different PMOs in different organizations, one in the banking sector, one in the aviation industry, which is semi-governmental, and it's really so much different. And we had to go through a different approach while doing this. Siloed decision making will make it harder because, when we're looking at departments who are working in silos, leading to duplication of work, because, when you're not aware of projects here, you cannot do maybe optimization of resources. You cannot really aggregate all the risks of all the projects. Maybe you can have different conflicting objectives, and many synergies will be missed. So without having a cross-functional collaboration, the PMO will be, just a reactive PMO. And the main idea of agility is to become proactive. The main idea of project management in the first place is to become proactive. So how can we adapt to change if we don't have the mindset from the beginning? So it really, really, trust me, as Anshal said, a PhD in HR analytics since 2009. So trust me, HR is the way to go. So the PMO in collaboration with the HR, because HR is the building bones of any organization. They can drive the change with you. They can upskill your people. They can spread the culture of collaboration, of openness, of adapting to the changes around us, not like, scramble, whenever there are changes happening. So they have to get used bit by bit, to the changes happening within the organization. And even if we have so many rigid processes, it's not going to work. So if I have like lots of resistance, they are not having like increased maturity level in the managing projects, in managing the processes and so on, you take it baby steps. You don't go to the higher level. You start slowly, and bit by bit you're going to get the value, the utmost value that you want. So this bit by bit, can it remind you of anything? It's about agility. It's about having added value, with each and every iteration, with each and every sprint. That's why do not expect, like a PMO to give value altogether. That's not a project. Even the establishment of PMO, it's a project by itself, right? So you really need to choose which methodology, and the best methodology, specifically when we're talking about environments that have resistance, no readiness, and so on, you really need to show them the value slowly, bit by bit. I have a light over here who's going crazy like Christmas lights. So it's changing from blue to green to white. That's why you see my face changing. But nevertheless, what about data abundance? Do you think, and please write on the chat, do you think that we have lack of data nowadays? Let me see your thoughts on that. Do you think we have lack of data? No. Muhammad Muhsin Chaudhry, no. Yasser, no. Amani, no. Everybody's saying no. Excellent. Noshin. So the problem is not about data. I worked with data since 19. I was about to say 2000. Since 1993, when I graduated from the American University. As a computer science graduate, I was always talking with data, presenting with data, juggling with data. But data alone is not enough. So there are so many levels. You have to make sense out of data. So from data to information, to even knowledge. I'm a professor as well of knowledge management. How can I keep this knowledge in databases and I can index it and access it at any time? And how can a wise organization reach the wisdom level, which is the highest level, whereby you are not wasting any kind of knowledge of information, spreading it across, learning from each other? Imagine this utopia. It's really amazing. But if we have only the data without insights, without people understanding the data, making sense out of data, correlating the data together to see the root cause or the correlation between different variables, it's not going to work. So no matter how much data do you can have data from AI, from Google, from the internet, from social media, from your own databases within the organization, but nothing is going to work if you don't have people who understand the data analysts, even AI specialists who can make sense out of data. Because at the end of the day, what do executives want? Executives want to make decisions. And how can I make decisions based on my gut feeling? That's my topic in PhD. How can I use analytics to really make sense out of everything that I do and to transform the role of HR from administrative to strategic? The same thing applies to every single department. How can I change the role of PMO from an administrative PMO, just, generating reports and having a platform, putting all the projects there without any value? So you have to have meaningful insights so that we can decide if I stop funding that project. How can I collaborate as a PMO with a portfolio manager so that we decide on which projects we need to invest in, which projects are very risky and we need to keep our eyes on that, which projects who really are not doing well and might be delayed by doing all the earned value management that many of you as PMP are familiar with that. So all of this Challenges, let us not look at it only as obstacles. They are signals that the PMOs need to evolve. Imagine all these challenges and we keep doing the same thing. We reach 150 people attending, which means 149 except me. And that evolution begins by rethinking our approach, how we establish a PMO, what needs to be done, what are the prerequisites, and how we define and solve problems in a very quick way. So what does the modern PMO look like today? It's no longer about reporting and governance. Yes, we can create processes. Do this, do that, don't do this, checkpoint. If you have your charter, you can go from initiation to planning. If you have a project management plan, you can go from planning to execution and so on, with so many checkpoints all the way. Yes, it might work. Yes, you can mandate it by force, but trust me, without getting the buy-in of the project managers who are going to use your platform, of the project managers who believe in the value of the PMO, all the stakeholders who are going to support you in the optimization of resources, management of the risk, having this the agile mindset in adapting to the environment, nothing will work. Okay? So what do they need, the PMOs? They need empathy. Who can tell me, Kamena by chat, for those who understand Arabic, who can tell me 155 and it's going upward? Who can tell me empathy is coming from which concept? So we have a process. I talked about that topic before, I think in 2022, when we were talking about the marriage between project management and some concepts that have processes, inner self. You know, I'm talking about a step within a process. It has 5 steps. And the first step within this process is empathy. The second step is define the problem. The third step is ideation. The fourth step is to create a prototype. Nothing of what you wrote is part of that process. And then you test it. That's called design thinking. And that's part of our topic today. Yes, you said people management, of course. And, you know, people, it's correct. When we use empathy, it means I cannot say to my stakeholder, to my heads of departments, I decided that this is the approach that I'm going to use. I decided that this is the best way to manage your projects. This is the best information system. This is the best processes. This is the best automation. I cannot do that alone. Even at Middle East Airlines, I didn't do that alone. I brought all the stakeholders. We sat at the table and I asked them the questions. What do you think are the processes that might work for creating an amazing framework? And by the way, I have a detailed webinar with PMI UAE. If it's not on the YouTube, I will ask them to upload it on YouTube as well. So we have to bring the people and empathize with them, put ourselves in their shoes and see, for example, what are the challenges they are facing and what PMO can do for them. Yes, we have to put ourselves in how they're going to generate all these documentation after not doing anything and zero documentation, for example. So you have to be on the table with the stakeholders. Together, you can do it. Alone, don't even think about going there. Adapting with agility, reshaping plans, team structures, and real time to meet evolving demands. So these demands are increasing. Like the customer, if you're like have time to market to really put a product to the market, you know, even the demand of having more out of that product. I want like an iPhone with higher capacity. I want an iPhone with the best camera. The same thing, you know, with the demands of the stakeholders. They need more of the PMOs than they needed before. Before, maybe they needed processes because, you know, establishment of a PMO, even, at least started since 20 years, you know, and you cannot do the same thing over and over and over again. So you have to change, you have to adapt, and you have to use new methodologies of working in order to make it happen. Leverage insights, data analytics, which really will help a lot. What's the real question here? We'll explore together today. If not, it is not if this is possible, the modern PMO. It's not about if it's possible or not, but how to make it your PMO's reality. Let us start with the concept of design thinking. Yes, this is AI generated. This is AI generated. So the image. So design thinking is a concept. I'm going to share a video quickly. Let me know if you can hear, Anshal.
When companies set
Yes,
strategy,
we can.
stumble. Either they collect a lot of backward-looking data, which doesn't tell them what future customers really want, or they make risky bets based on instinct instead of evidence. Design thinking is a strategy-making process that avoids these mistakes by applying tools from the world of design and shifting the focus to human behavior. Popularized by David M. Kelly and Tim Brown of IDEO and Roger Martin of the Rotman School, design thinking has 3 major stages. First, invent a future. Form a few theories about what customers might want but don't have by immersing yourself in their lives. Instead of polling them about specific products or services, observe and ask questions about their behavior. Next, test your ideas out. Use iterative prototyping with good enough products or services and conduct a few quick experiments to see how consumers respond. Adjust the product, the pricing, or the positioning accordingly. Finally, bring the new product or service to life. When you've got a winner, identify the activities, capabilities, and resources your company will need to actually produce, distribute, and sell it. For example, when senior managers at Procter & Gamble wanted to turn around the skincare brand Oil of Olay, they began by observing shoppers in both mass retail channels and high-end department stores. They realized that their industry had been primarily targeting women over 50 who were worried about wrinkles, while pretty much ignoring those in their 30s and 40s who were concerned about other issues. This was a huge market to be captured. So P&G experimented with new formulations that would tackle multiple skincare goals, then tested different prototypes, price points, and store displays. Finally, the company launched a series of new premium yet broadly distributed products that were well received by a wide range of consumers. By using imaginative, human-centered problem solving, design thinking can help you unlock new markets and identify new strategies.
Okay, so this is design thinking, related to products, but design thinking is a concept that's really being applied hugely in project management and hugely specifically in agile project management. So what is the beauty of it? Because, I'm not going to go through the history. I'm going to skip that. So design thinking, as we said, it's about 5 steps within the whole process. It's about empathy. So if PMOs, we're going to see how this applies to PMO. So PMOs should show empathy, should put themselves in the shoes of others. What are the challenges they are facing? And, checking, defining the problems. So what is the problem? Figuring out exactly what are the challenges. These challenges might be, oh, I cannot track my, my work, or I cannot see where my team is and what did they do. I cannot know the dependency between my project and another project, and so on. And for that, you don't find solutions alone as a PMO or a project manager in general. You don't find a solution alone and impose it to the user. You bring the user with you, whoever is the end user, and you ideate together on finding the right solution for those problems or challenges. And then you prototype. Do you think that this would work? Do you think that if we do like a support PMO, whereby we can start by having maybe templates and having some kind of like upskilling in project management, increasing, the maturity level and having them ready. And then we jump in, to the higher level, the controlling PMO or the directive PMO and so on. So you start prototyping and you test it as you go, and you will see how it will work. So if we're talking about empathy, as we said, you can put yourself in the people's shoes, connect on how they might feel about the problem. You cannot look at things from your own perspective. Other people have their own perspective and they have their own pain and challenges at work. And you can dig deeper into that. Identifying the main problem, instead of focusing on the negative side of the problem, let's think of the so many options that we can do in order to solve that problem. And these options you can ideate it, with the stakeholders as well. So it is about idea generation. It is about creating a solution to the problem by having a prototype. Prototypes always works. And if you can, for a second, put yourself in the mindset of an agile project, not a project manager, agile team, whereby the agile team, they have all this and create the prototype. They do a demo for the user. Your user gives feedback, and based on the feedback, we reiterate, or that's it. We create our MVP, the minimum viable product, or the MBI, depending on where we are in the process. So it's almost the same thing that you can apply specifically in agile methodology. And PMOs should be established, in my opinion, in many other people's opinion, by agility. You cannot go plan for every single thing and then ta-da, this is the PMO. You cannot do that. So focusing on telling, not on showing and not telling. So you are showing them what it might look like. You are showing them what would be the processes. You're showing them these documentation. Think about that, everything that the PMO would require from information systems, which comes at the end, starting with the mindset, with the training, with the templates, with the processes, and so many other things. So all of these steps, are helping the PMO to start bit by bit, in growing and adding the higher value. Now I'm going to ask you as well on the chat. Failure is an incredible, powerful tool for learning. Do you agree with me? Yes or no? Or maybe? Agree, of course. Beautiful. Nikhil, Yasser, Rahil, Naba, Shankar, amazing. Yes, we agree. Why? Because it is learning through failure. Let us see this video.
Hi, I'm Tim Brown. I'm a designer. I'm the CEO of IDEO and board member of IDEO.org. I'm not sure it's really failure that we celebrate, even though we have to be comfortable with the idea of failure. What it is that we're celebrating is the learning that comes from failure. The learning that comes from trying something out, maybe pushing it a little bit too far, or maybe trying an experiment that you wanted to learn from, and it didn't quite work out how you expected, but in some ways, the learning that came from that unexpected failure was maybe more valuable than the success might have been. If you think about it, the whole scientific method, which is quite close to design thinking in many ways, is designed to learn through failure. An experiment, which is a hypothesis, an experiment that you design to test that hypothesis, and then an outcome from which you learn. More often than not, those experiments prove that you didn't know what you thought you knew, and that through that process, you've learned something unexpected. And so what my advice to people who feel uncomfortable with the idea of failure is, don't think of it as failure. Think about designing experiments through which you're going to learn. When it comes to implementation, that's when you probably don't want quite as much failure to happen, because it starts getting a bit more expensive then, right? You're putting all this effort into making something. But even then, you need to be constantly experimenting and constantly refining. So there's an opportunity to learn through these experiments by continuing to prototype. You just probably want to try and avoid having a big failure right at the end.
And does it remind you of anything, big failure at the end? It means specifically in the waterfall, which I'm promoting, that the PMO cannot be managed by waterfall. It has to be by agility. And by agility, it means we're doing the first trial and it fails and we learn from it and we get feedback and then we do it again and again and again until we have the best PMO of the year. And this reminded me, of the PMO of the Year award. And many in the UAE, like Hiba Shahi in Dubai municipality, like Badr Burshid in the PMI KSA chapter, all of these are my friends and they won these awards. And it's amazing because sharing all these success stories will really help other PMOs to learn as well. So who can tell me, and this I created it with AI and I wrote these words beneath it myself. So who can tell me what the customer really, really needed. So we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 12 quadrants. Which quadrant is what the customer really wanted? Which quadrant? So from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 9. Excellent. 12. Bottom right, 12. That's exactly what the customer wanted. So the customer really needed this. Let's say a coffee machine. It's just a joke. Like, you know, I remember my friend Lee Lambert. Kisses to Lee Lambert. You know, his birthday was during August. He's a Leo. So Lee Lambert is famous, you know, for having all these caricatures. You know, I'm trying to compete with you, Lee. You know, so this is what the customer really needed. And guess what? This is how the customer explained it. They don't know how to explain sometimes what they really want. So what they want is different from how they explain it, and it's different from how the project manager understood it, and how the designer designed it, how it was tested, how the consultant described it, how it was marketed, and how the customer was billed, you know, and how it was actually built, which is totally different somehow from what the customer needed. That's why without prototyping, and by the way, prototyping is an amazing tool even for collecting requirements. Sometimes, you know, especially in Agile, your people don't know what they want. And by prototyping, it will really help them get there, you know, get to exactly what they really needed. So when we're talking about design thinking, how it helps PMO in becoming strategic, it will grow your own capacity to innovate, because, you know, the head of PMO will be more creative, more innovative, ideas flowing. You are with the user, you have their buy-in, and you want to together create something of a value within the PMO. So we focus on the user. The user is the most important. And in your opinion, again, if I want to ask you, and I'm going to ask Anshal to really make it 2 PDUs, because I have so many things to share that they won't be done in less than an hour. But nevertheless, you know, we're heading forward. Can you tell me here, you know, who are the users of the PMO? PMO as processes, PMO as enterprise project management platform. Who are the users? Who are the stakeholders we're talking about over here? Can you write it down? So who are they? So one of the stakeholders are the project managers, for example, as well the heads of departments who generated ideas, right? The project management team as well, excellent. Even the project managers, you know, they are the users. The CFO, the CIO, beautiful. Thank you, Shankar. So we need to focus on the user, and this is why we really need design thinking. Focus on yourself as an innovator and develop the solutions that resonates with them. Design thinking matter for PMOs because, you know, beyond the processes that I told you, yes, they are important. Yes, we've done that. We've been there. Yes, we automated those processes. And the most important thing is the human centricity, how to focus on the users that you just told me about in the chat. How can I make them the center of what I'm doing? Not coming up, oh, we need to create a PMO. We as executive, let's do this, let's do that. And none of the users are with us. It's nonsense and it will never work. Don't try it, go home. So design thinking is always about human centricity, whereby we identify who are the stakeholders, collect their requirements, and make sure, you know, the stakeholders, the sponsors, even the sponsors, you know, even the third party, you know, contractors, and the solution providers or whoever they are, they're going to benefit from it because you're going to generate data, reporting, insights, team members, end users, and so on. So if we go over the processes quickly, we know that empathy, it starts by deeply understanding all the pain points of your users and shifting the PMO from a compliance, as if you're an officer, you know, Policing will never work. It will never work, policing. Don't police. You know, yes, you can do it by force, but don't do that. It will fail throughout the way. So you have to make yourself as a strategic partner. You are a trusted partner where they can trust you in bringing more value to the organization. And everything that you do should be aligned with the strategic objectives of any organization. And when we have so many problems, you know, we can for example, nowadays, many, PMOs jump into the solution without validating the problem. What is the real problem? Is it data? Is it transparency? Is it, duplication of work? Is it like dependencies or collaboration is missing or resistance? Whatever that is, dig deeper into the problem and ensure that these challenges are correctly defined. And in the creative ideation, it means you and your users will have to come up with so many amazing ideas so that you can find solutions for these challenges. Prototyping and testing, we talk about it, and it's very, very important. I'm trying to put myself on the 2.0 now, not on the 1.5, like WhatsApp message, like 1.5. I'm on 2 right now. Adrenaline is really, really high. So what are the key benefits of design thinking? The PMOs will become proactive. They will drive the innovation. They are using techniques that are known worldwide. And these Kelly brothers that we talked about in the video, they charge like $7,000 somehow for just learning about the right processes and how to think outside the box and come up with amazing creative solutions for the problems. So yes, we will navigate the PMO without ambiguity, with confidence, and with creativity. Yes, it has been applied by so many companies. I'm going to go right through the problem. This image, I shared it on stage with PMI UAE, I think in 2022, and I asked them, who is that girl? That girl is a girl with cancer. And there is Doug, D-O-G-H. He's an engineer in General Electric Healthcare, and I'm not sure. Say yes if you attended that the keynote speaking for me in the annual gathering of the PMI UAE chapter. Say yes on the chat if you were there like 2 years back. So how can Doug, engineer, find creative solutions so that people with cancer, he was there. Hey, Muhammad. Yes, you remember then. So how can we create a solution for the children with cancer and make them happy and have a pleasant experience? How can we do that? Can you imagine a child and the parents going through different challenging experiences? It's heartbreaking. So he went there to David Kelly, and he ideated, tried to bring something, create something that really changes 180 degrees the experience of these children. His name is Doug Dietz. He tried to find new inspiration for the project to try out design thinking. And this is the result. He created all this pirate adventure, Coral City adventure, cozy camp, where the patients, the children can go and they can listen to the voice of the water or the cricket in the forest. And it was amazing. And I just want to show you a snapshot of less than a minute of how he cried when he was doing it. And this is the utmost level of empathy that anyone could feel.
Why I really wrapped myself around this and tried my best to pull in some of the best people that I could to work with me is that I always kept in my mind that frightened child that was going through cancer or that was really having some problems going through their scan. That is such a tough thing for a little one. It's such a tough thing for a family. And I did put my heart and soul behind it. And it means a lot to me now that we have a solution and that the solution is helping the way it is. And it's helping these families. And what a great thing to work for a huge company like GE, but show some passion like this, that we can do something for people.
This is empathy. This is empathy. When you create something from the bottom of your heart, so that people can, can interact with it, so that you can create value, so you can solve problems. Look at the results. Patient satisfaction scores went up 90%. Children do not suffer anxiety anymore. It makes it easier for children to hold still during a procedure, and so on. How does this apply to PMO? The traditional PMO leaders, they often lean on authority and processes and top-down decision-making, which doesn't work anymore. Agile inspired leaders will work based on, when you empathize, you are feeling, with the users, with the stakeholders of the PMO, and you as a leader, as a strategic leader, can be a facilitator to drive these values. And what can you do, or what you can be as a PMO leader? You can be a servant leader. You serve your team. You serve them in terms of enabling them to, be part of the success. Shifts the mindset from managing resources to supporting the people that you're working with. And adaptive teams are needed. Transparency is needed as well. And why this matter? Because using, this strategic leadership style, will make decisions faster, innovation will increase, and the stakeholders will be more engaged and will be less resistance to your project. So, of course, a collaborative PMO leader doesn't stand above the team. They stand beside the team, clearing the path for success. And this is what we call, a servant leader. I'm going to skip the breaking silos, because silos, we talked about it before. And, I can even go a little bit. Can you give me 10 more minutes, Anshal? And we can give them 1.5 PDUs. السكوت علامة الرضا. It means you are okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. So what AI can do, of course, AI can help increase the success rate of PMOs based on research. When you are creating your own GPTs, you are creating an AI that really is aligned, whether it's on the cloud, whether it's, at the premises of your organization for data security. It will help bring value by bringing all the data, all the templates that you want, removing all the repetitive work that project managers and PMOs suffer from, so that you are free to be a strategic leader. How can you be a strategic leader if you do not have the data, the insights, the templates, the processes, and all the repetitive work that is nonsense that AI and machines can do? They can automate routine tasks, enhance the decision-making, even the communication will be enhanced through AI. Maybe in another session, we're going to dig deeper into this. Okay, how can I become a proactive strategic leader? By having all this analytics, all these insights, all the, administrative work handled by machines, by process automation, and I can become a strategic leader. Standardization and template preparation by default, this is there. I'm going to show you. Customized GPT, this is for me, for example, my PMO advisor. And I have fed it, uploaded the PMBOK guide, uploaded my company profile, my strategic plans, my business plans, my everything. And then you will see magic. You will see magic on how to use AI. So it is about a strategic transformation, and many research has proven that. So the strategic transformation, by making sure that all our projects are prioritized the right way, we are being close to the user, we are becoming agile and adaptable. We don't panic, on every single change that is happening within the organization, learning how to be responsive, changing project dynamics as we go, depending on the risks and the challenges. Data-driven decision-making is my specialty. I wish we have more time, maybe because I wanted to share with you a bit of everything. It's like food for thought, so that will trigger, your curiosity to look into these topics and really make sure that, yes, these are some of the solutions that will be helping you in driving the strategic objectives of the organization. So when we're talking about synergy effect, I would like to stop sharing a little bit because I used to put a music over here. So the synergy of data. So imagine yourself, you have a bouquet of AI, automation, strategic leadership, design thinking, all together. How can a PMO like that not succeed? Trust me, this is your recipe for success. You need to have insights. Data is there only to give you insights about the status of the project, tracking the project, the value for the project, prioritization, about optimization of resources, and so on. So there are so many metrics that you can get from data analysis, benefits of AI by augmenting the human decision making. So you're not being replaced by machines, you're rather being helped by assistants, by agents, so that you are free to be creative. Machines cannot be creative. They can help you do your job. They can automate the processes, but they cannot do the right decision making for you. They can enable you and give you insights and analytics to do that. And for example, I was the senior trainer at Dubai International Project Management Forum. I don't know if some of you were there, and 55 people were studying how to become proactive risk manager for complex mega projects. And guess what? We did a competition between two teams, and AI was able to identify the risk of so many. There were 9 projects, 9 teams competing, and AI did its job and did its magic. We talked about automation. I'm not going to go into the benefits of automation. Let me tell you the final slide, which is what are the future trends. Use your imagination. We are in an era, we're 2025. Everything is possible. I was walking and driving the other day from Abu Dhabi to Dubai, and I saw Eye of Dubai radio. And guess what? And I opened the radio and I saw a client talking to an agent, call center agent. And after the discussion, she solved the problem. Guess what? The agent was an AI and the customer didn't even know. Yes, this is where we're heading. Customer service agent, maybe call center agents are being replaced by machines, but you can upskill yourself. You can learn new things. AI will continue on evolving. Sustainability, and eco-friendly practices will continue to be a hot topic. Integration, hybrid work models will continue to be a hot topic. Ongoing focus on cybersecurity and data privacy, especially in the era of AI. I'm going to skip that video. I'm going to thank you. It is 7:30 after all. And this is the food for thought. Try to encompass all these ideas and try to drive your organization forward. For those who missed following me on LinkedIn, please scan the QR code and you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm going to give it a minute. Meanwhile, I'm going to I will leave the floor to Anshal to manage the questions of the audience. And thank you for giving us enough time.
Thank you, Dr. Mona. My pleasure. And I think it was quite immersive. I think also somebody wrote in the chat as well that they forgot to go for a dinner. Okay, it was so immersive at the moment. So thank you for bringing out those particular nuggets around the videos. Quite emotional one as well in between, understanding the empathy aspect. You spoke about cross-functional. You spoke about a couple of new trends which is going to impact PMO. The questions perspective, we have a couple of them. I think let me begin with something with again cross collaboration piece, which you have spoke in one of the slides also. So the question from Nausheen is asking apparently that there are many organizations who prioritize their own projects individually, which leads to the siloed ways of working with them, because every project team has an agenda to bring it and they want to prioritize their projects and they started working around it. So what are the strategies or the best practices have you seen that encourage the stronger cross-team collaboration in these kind of situations? Because every project might be different from different sector, line of business, how to bring them together into cross-team collaboration.
Don't you think this is the role of the PMO? So if you have a strategic PMO that is not focusing, and this is one of the couple of slides that I skipped, by the way, which is, the silos. When we are talking about silos, departments who are focusing only on their KPIs, here comes the role of the PMO, where it can create a whole value, integrate all these KPIs to higher value that aligns with the strategic objectives of the organization. And how to practically do that? If I have more time, I will, but I will give you some insights. When the PMO is established, established. You know, I've trained a lot and I've done lots of consultancy, and many organizations, they have EPMO, Enterprise Project Management Office, and they have like here little PMOs here and there. If they are working in silos, that would be like a disaster. So it is the strategic leadership, you know, and the mindset of a leader of the PMO to bring all these people together, show them the value, that it's a higher value if you collaborate together. At the end of the day, organizations don't survive by a marketing department or by sales department. It survives by all the elements within the organization structure. So it is the role of HR, the role of PMO to create processes, to agree on policies and procedure, to create even an enterprise project management platform whereby there is visibility and each one will know what every other person is working on. So this is a very short answer to that question.
Thank you. The next one we have is from a bit of things involved. Zain is asking about, you spoke about design thinking 5-step model, right? So show us some kind of subtle example where it can be applied to the industrial project management situation, like oil and gas or solar project, something like that.
You know, design thinking is not related to any industry. It is a mindset. It is a concept, and you can apply it in any different industry, whether the aviation, whether in the industrial, as well domain, or education. If you think about it, you as a PMO or you as a project manager, you are the creator, the innovator, but you cannot do it alone. You have to feel with others. Identify who are your users, who are the people who are having challenges, to whom you are solving these problems. Empathize with them. It means listen to them, listen to their pain, what are they are facing, and put yourself in their shoes and try to dig deeper and put your finger on the exact problem and develop the try to elaborate on the problem, so that together you can create solutions to those problems, whatever these problems are, whether in the oil and gas, whether in anything. For the shortage of time, I can send you, if you email me or if you connect with me, so many emails that case studies on those industries as well. So we create ideas for these problems, and you pick from them, you prototype it, you test it. If it works, fine. If it doesn't work, we bring another idea. So it's just a mindset. It doesn't it's not something specific for the industries.
Thank you. I think a similar thing is being asked from Sheriff as well, where he's asking like how the PMO can really help the construction projects, construction industry, because typically in construction, you don't follow agile methodology. You normally go with the waterfall situation. You have to analyze a lot of things, a lot of stakes comes into the perspective of risk management. So how the PMO is going to help there?
Let me answer you in two folds, Akh Sharif. So when we're talking about agility, we're not talking about the methodology of work that we are applying to our projects. We were talking about agility when we are constructing or establishing a PMO from scratch. So the PMO itself needs to be agile. And the other part of the solution is, let me see, Sharif, did you delete the question because I cannot see it anymore?
Yeah. Okay, give me a minute.
I can see it. So the PMO help construction project. Yes, I know they are, as Lee Lambert always says, always waterfall for the construction. Nevertheless, you can even use agility in the design phase. So imagine the design phase on how to design a tower, how to design, construction for the residence buildings or compounds or whatever. So this process of design, which is planning on how it's going to look like, yes, it can be done by agility, by putting yourself in the shoes of the people to whom you are doing this. What is the main or utmost objective? And get their opinion. Even the people, the community, you can ask them, what do you think about having a compound that that has a lake or has a forest or whatever, or animals, and then you can take the opinions of people and keep on designing different models until you find the last model. So yes, even part of the construction, which is design, can be done through agility. But what we were talking about, it's not the methodology of work of the project. We were talking about the methodology that we use while we are establishing a PMO as a project. So we consider the PMO establishment, it's a project, do it by Agile, because it will show incremental values as we go.
Okay. Nice. So I think that really shines back the question from the sheriff as well, that construction or any other industry is irrespective of the situational, the methodology is not the case here. We're looking at the mindset again, just like design thinking, agility is also mindset. So let's follow that mindset in the particular section where the construction
Exactly.
can apply to. Great.
100% true.
Perfect answer, Dr. Mona. I think we have a couple of more. Ashraf is okay. So Ashraf is asking about conflict management. So now let's talk about PMO exist in a company and you have a portfolio management office also, possibly. Okay. And if there is a
So
conflict between
we're
them.
talking about Ashraf and Joom, right?
Yes, yes, that one.
To have the conflict between the PMO and the portfolio in an organization can impact the project performance. Of course, the PMO and the portfolio should be sisters and brothers, they cannot have these conflicts at all. Why? Because when we're talking about a higher level, a strategic level, it's the PMO. And the portfolio management, it's the strategic level, where are we going to invest our money in? Which projects? And the same thing, PMO can do reprioritization of projects. So they match as if they are like twins, and of course, it's going to impact the performance in agile environments, of course. So, of course, all these challenges that are sometimes organizational politics, the authority level, all of this hinder not only, performance of the project, it will hinder any value that we can deliver to the organization, honestly.
So any idea how to avoid this conflict between these two division in that case?
Communication. It is about communication. So when we are having two strategic departments at the same level, it has to go through the higher level. So if they tried everything, they communicated, maybe they try to agree on something. So for example, even if we find one thing that we agree upon, let us build on that. Let us try to bring all these perspectives together. And maybe you can ask an expert opinion, a consultant, the top management, an executive committee to really, it depends on that answer, should be like very elaborated. It depends on the type of conflict. What are they having conflict over? Is it authority? Is it like the prioritization? Is it the defining the strategic objectives? So, so it depends.
Sure. I think we spoke about this, so I think there was a connection. So will AI going to replace PMO? Asha is
That's
asking
why I'm
about.
laughing. Yes,
Yeah.
Sefo. AI is not there to replace the PMO. PMO is a strategic, entity within the organization that requires the assistance of AI. Nowadays, without AI, it's going to be difficult. Why? It's going to be lengthy. It's going to be slow. It's not going to adapt. So AI is there to support it. There is misabuse or there is abusing, AI, misuse of AI. Yes, of course. So organizations really, and I'm happy you mentioned this topic, should really be aware of the dangers of AI. We're not here to replace people. We're here to replace the tasks that are repetitive and doesn't make any value to the organization. So for example, if I allow all the project managers each to create a different template based on what they think is best, we're here to create a PMO. I'm giving only the silliest example to agree on the consolidation of templates. So the PMO can create those templates for you so you can be creative in solving problems and being strategic and alignment. Yes, it will help you, but that's not the objective. It will remove part of all the work so that you focus on more important stuff. Okay, that's how I would like to put it. Many organizations, yes, they will replace PMOs with the AI, but hopefully not, because we cannot, as if you're replacing the whole humanity, of project managers and, which are creative. And sometimes AI make mistakes, and we need to be aware of all the dangers of that. Maybe another
Sure,
session I will
absolutely.
elaborate further.
Yeah, I think the last one I would like to just touch based on the perspective of Shazad is asking the question around the overburning. So overburning is means are the PMOs are having a lot of loads of the pressure in the form of administration of doing many things together. So how we can avoid the burnout of PMO because they are doing a lot of work in the essence around there because the whole lot of strategy creation piece, alignment, conflict management, prioritization, and AI together now. So that the continuous churn from the perspective of being adaptive is also there. So how to prevent the overburn?
That's an amazing question, but let me tell you something. PMO is being overburned because of the repetitive tasks, because of the so many administrative, the positioning of the PMO should not be administrative. It should be strategic. If you want to create a place with you at the C level, at the executive table, you should go away from all these administration, count on automation, on standardization, create processes from the beginning, agree on them through the design thinking. This is the framework. This is what we're going to do for IT projects. These are the processes that we're going to apply for marketing project, and so on and so forth. So have a framework that is clear, automate processes, create templates, everything that would create a hassle. You really need to stop it, and to use AI, use analytics, use automation, so that you can breathe. You cannot overburn a PMO by doing administrative stuff. This is really nonsense.
Yeah, perfectly. I think that concludes us, Dr. Mona, over here. I think we did a couple of quite interesting aspects about touching the PMO versus portfolio versus design versus this overburning concept, AI. We spoke a very elaborative area of work here, just not unidirectional. So that really makes it interesting. I think I would like to give you a big thank to you and applaud that you pulled out your time of this 1 hour and then brought up with us interesting topic about it. That concludes with me. I think we are going to close the webinar tonight. I would like to thank you, all of the amazing audience who have been asking the brilliant questions and making this a particular interactive session with us, and your attendance and the participation is really valued and always acknowledged with. We don't say good night without saying thank to the rest of the PMI UAE chapter volunteers who are doing tireless work behind these successful webinars with us, including our colleagues from membership, outreach, finance, and governance. And a huge shout out to our friends at marketing team who have been responsible for posting all this relevant information in the media, social media and events page for all of you to know when is the next webinar is going to happen with us. So until our next webinar, I think within the 2 weeks, again, you get a new webinar. Please register yourself. And then let's conclude with this session. Dr. Mona, thank you so much.
I thank everyone, by the way, they are sharing with me amazing comments. It was my pleasure. My passion is to share knowledge. And yes, I'm looking forward as well for more sessions. PMI UAE is a chapter that is very dear to my heart. Yes, sometimes, they chase me, because I'm always on the plane, I'm traveling twice a week these days. So that's why it was challenging, but I'm happy we made it. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for all the PMI UAE team and volunteers, to Joyce, to Anshal, and to everyone here. And to the next one.
Cheers. I think until our next webinar, together with my colleagues behind the camera, Joyce and Amir, this is Anshal wishing you a pleasant evening ahead. God bless and take care of yourself. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Bye.